really exciting news.
Tonight we speak to a Daca recipient a day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against the Trump administration's attempt to end the program. And how the Inland Northwest Juneteenth Coalition hopes to move the community forward beyond today's holiday.
We enjoyed warm sunshine today as temperatures hit 80 degrees, but it looks like some cooler temperatures and maybe even some showers for the first day of summer.
Breaking news tonight, some new details about how investigators have found the remains of two missing children in Idaho. Court documents were unsealed today in the search for Lori Vallow's children, JJ and Tylee. Both had been missing since September. Their bodies were found on Chad Daybell's property in Rexburg, Idaho. He is the current husband of their mother, Lori Vallow. According to the documents, neighbors told police about fires on the property back in early September. They said it was unusual and that the fire pit was hardly ever used. JJ and Tylee were last seen in September, as we said, and once police searched the property last week, they did find human remains buried there on the property. So we are going to continue digging into those documents. We'll have more updates tonight on KREM 2 News at 10 and 11. Thank you everyone for joining us here for KREM 2 News First at 6. I'm Whitney Ward. Of course, my colleague Mark Hanrahan is there at the KREM 2 studios tonight. Mark?
Hey, good evening to you, Whitney. Let's get right to it. Community activists are calling out local business owners who've made comments on the Black Lives Matter movement. The owner of Wake Up Call Coffee is responding to some of that criticism today after screenshots were shared from her personal Facebook account. Christy Walsh responded today saying, as a business owner, I have always tried to be a positive element in our society. I would never intentionally harm our community or hurt our community members. I have never and will never support racism of any sort. I'm very sorry that my Facebook posts have caused offense and controversy. I am committed to learning about diversity. Yesterday, the owner of Tom Sawyer Coffee apologized for his comments on social media, but businesses in Spokane and beyond are recognizing Juneteenth and the movement for the very first time. Today, the owner of Ladder Coffee spoke with our Taylor Bido about responding to the changes happening in our communities.
Ladder Coffee says they've actually been planning this fundraiser for a couple of weeks, but they say it is timely and they're not the only ones in Spokane doing something similar on Juneteenth. Located on the edge of Brown's Addition, Ladder Coffee has been serving up lattes for a couple of years now. But on Juneteenth, the coffee shop says they wanted to do something extra.
This is something where it was out of a genuine desire to just say, hey, you know, we want to say we love you in this moment, in this time.
Manager Emily Ramirez came up with the idea to donate all of the tips collected on Friday from Ladder's location on Riverside and their cafe in Spokane Valley to local charities that support Spokane's Black community. Ladder's owner upped the ante, saying he'd match whatever customers pitched in. Ramirez said it was too early to tell how much they've raised so far on Friday, but they plan to donate the money to Spokane's Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center.
People came in specifically that had never been here before that said, hey, we saw you were doing this online. We're super excited and donating.
The move comes following a unique week for other Spokane coffee businesses whose owners were criticized for social media posts. Both the owners of Tom Sawyer Coffee and Wake Up Call drew controversy after posts they shared to their personal Facebook pages. Both have since apologized, though. But Ladder isn't the only business giving back on Juneteenth. Starting today, No Lie Brewhouse was selling special pint glasses along with a new entree to benefit the MLK Community Center. The brewery had posted that it was aiming to raise $5,000 for the community center. The fundraisers there and at Ladder came amid more awareness across the country and in Spokane of the Juneteenth holiday.
For me, it was one of those things that this came out of a genuine desire in our hearts to bless our community and to stand with, you know, what is actually a very small percentage of our community and say, hey, we're here for you, we support you.
In Spokane, Taylor Bido, KREM 2 News.
A day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against the Trump administration's attempt to end Daca, the president is vowing once again to end legal protections for immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. In the meantime, the High Court's ruling has Daca recipients breathing a sigh of relief. I talked with one of those recipients today. Her name is Maria McCrae, and I first profiled her back in 2018 when she was a graduate student at WSU. Here's what she said back then about the possibility of Daca ending.
I'm afraid that if I end up being deported to Mexico, I'm going to be struggling over there because I don't see that as my country, and I feel like I don't really belong over there.
The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival program was created back in 2012 by then President Barack Obama to protect young immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. To qualify, you must meet strict criteria. You can't have a felony or any serious misdemeanor convictions, among other things. Daca offers deportation protection for 2 years at a time and is renewable. Maria says she was 8 years old when her parents brought her and her 4 siblings to the U.S. from Mexico. She graduated from WSU and now lives in Seattle with her husband, who's in medical school, and she's pursuing her U.S. citizenship.
What was your reaction yesterday when you heard about the Supreme Court's ruling to essentially uphold Daca?
It was really exciting news because a lot of children came here and they didn't want, it's not like they wanted to come here illegally, but that DACA helped us get jobs and help us maintain ourselves here because for me, there's no one in Mexico for me to go back to. I don't have family there.
Maria is far from alone. According to the Migration Policy Institute, roughly 16,000 DACA recipients live in Washington and about 2,700 live in Idaho. Right now, the Spokane Regional Health District is reporting 43 new coronavirus cases today, the single biggest day spike in new cases since the outbreak began. The total number of confirmed cases now sits at 936. 37 people have died from the coronavirus in Spokane County. 101 people have been hospitalized since the outbreak began. And as of today, there are 9 people currently in the hospital. And just a reminder, a new testing site is now available in Airway Heights starting today. Multicare Rockwood Clinic has partnered with Spokane Regional Health to provide testing to people living in the area. The site is located off of Highway 2, and to help minimize possible exposure of the virus, a curbside testing option will be available on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. In King County, the health department reports a 47% increase in coronavirus cases week over week. 113 people tested positive, we're told concerning, but not enough to roll back the phase 2 status. Natalie Swaby reports tonight.
What are your biggest concerns as you move into phase 2?
Oh, just like everybody. I mean, safety, public safety is going to be the chief concern.
While Dave Montour opens his doors at West 5 to more business today, this West Seattle restaurant owner says he's not ready yet.
I'm really excited for phase 2. I'll start with that.
Dan Austin of Peel and Press says for now he'll stick to takeout only because phase 2 requires restaurants to operate at 50% capacity or less and for tables to be spaced out for social distancing or have a physical barrier like a wall for separation.
We understand the reasoning for it. Unfortunately, if you have a narrower building space like ours, a skinnier footprint, you just can't get enough tables to operate profitably.
That's why he's hopeful the city will streamline the process to allow outdoor seating. And from restaurants to retail, Keone Maneja's family owns Flirt and will be able to operate at 30% capacity.
As a retailer, 30% is not a lot. My square footage in my shop is maybe 600 square feet, so I can have 2 to 3 people.
She sees it as a start, and back at this business, they're optimistic.
We've been here for almost 18 years, and we hope to stay here for another 18.
In West Seattle, Natalie Swaby,
KREM 2 News.
All right, very summer-like weather here all across the inland Northwest. And of course, tomorrow marks the official start of summer, although Michelle Boss is joining us now with some details about, I guess, just the possibility of some showers to mark that first day of summer, right?
Yeah, we have the chance of showers, but even if it doesn't rain, it's probably going to be a pretty gray day. So if you want to enjoy the warmer weather, a little bit more sunshine early this evening before sunset, it's probably going to be a nicer period. We certainly had the warm weather today as we look at temperatures across the region. We did officially hit 80 in Spokane, and I believe Coeur d'Alene as well. The temperatures have dropped a couple degrees in the upper 70s now, still holding at 80 in Deer Park. And boy, it's certainly hot out across central Washington. Moses Lake checking in at 89 degrees at the 6 o'clock hour, 90 in Othello, and pretty warm out towards the Lewiston Pomeroy area as well. Temperatures in the middle 80s to around 90. On satellite and radar, it's been pretty quiet across much of eastern Washington. We've had a few isolated showers across far northern Idaho and the Panhandle. Most of the thunderstorm activity has been across northwest Montana this afternoon. Should be a quiet evening as far as any precipitation is concerned. Partly cloudy skies as temperatures fall to around 70 degrees by 10 o'clock tonight, so nice and mild. Partly cloudy overnight, but clouds increasing towards Saturday morning. And again, a gloomy day with the chance for a few passing showers for the afternoon. That's going to knock temperatures back just a little bit, so highs in the lower 70s for the first day of summer. But Father's Day looks like it should be a slight improvement. Partly cloudy skies, just an outside chance of a shower, and temperatures a little bit warmer. Great for grilling, highs in the mid 70s.
Sounds perfect for grilling, Michelle. Thank you very much. DNR crews have contained a wildfire burning near Wenatchee today. That fire burned about 75 acres of land, and you can see from that picture the top of the hill was burned, but crews were able to quickly contain most of the flames. It was the gun range fire that happened near the Wenatchee Rifle and Revolver Club. The Chelan County Emergency Management reported that it did prompt some evacuation notices. They're still trying to decide exactly how that fire started. In the meantime, that fire in Wenatchee, just another reminder that we could absolutely be in for a very intense wildfire season in central and eastern Washington, as well as parts of North Idaho, and that is absolutely complicating efforts to be ready for it at the state level. Washington DNR had to cancel its 3 firefighter training academies this year, so a lot of the training this year is being done virtually. But once the fires get going, crews know there's only so much social distancing that can be done in a fire camp. So here's what's going to be different this year in both Idaho and Washington. In camp, firefighters will be asked to wear a mask anytime they're going to be closer than 6 feet to someone else. They will also be more spread out in their tents and when eating. Instead of having seating right there near the mobile kitchen, firefighters will be asked to get their food and then go right back to their tent to eat. And when possible, instead of being in a camp, firefighters may be put up in a nearby motel instead. And some camp operations may be done remotely just to limit the number of key personnel who may be exposed to the virus. Out on the fire lines, firefighters will not be asked to wear a mask, but they will still have to wear one inside of the vehicles or aircraft. And on the ground, they'll be asked to maintain that 6 feet of social distance. Idaho is also going to sometimes send out more vehicles, more tankers, more engines, so that people aren't crammed so close together. And in Washington, there will be more air support this year, including at least 2 more helicopters for water drops. And before firefighters even get to the front lines, they will be going through routine health screenings and temperature checks. But officials in both states have made it very clear one thing will not change. They will be aggressively fighting fires, getting to that initial attack early with the goal of never having to get to those big fires or the big fire camps that come with them. And the last thing I want to touch on is that mutual aid, that interagency cooperation. Anytime a district is in trouble or has a big fire and they need help, they have always been able to rely on those neighboring districts or even state or federal resources as they need them. And of course that is still going to exist, but that exact thing could very well continue to spread the coronavirus. All it takes is some firefighters coming in from lots of different areas into that one main spot, and we know the coronavirus can spread very easily, especially in those close quarters. So it's still very much a concern. It's still going to be happening, but they are going to be watching it. They're taking these preventative measures very seriously. They know that if a firefighter does have a confirmed case of the coronavirus or even a suspected case, they will absolutely be pulling them out of circulation because they just can't risk a continued pandemic or an outbreak in one of those fire camps, but it would absolutely limit the number of firefighters that could continue to respond to any of these big fires. So they're asking, of course, the firefighters be very vigilant about those preventative measures, the masks, the social distancing, and they ask the rest of us to do the same for those firefighters as well. All right, let's take a look at the fire danger currently right now in our areas. In Chelan County, it is considered moderate. Open burning is closed there for the season now. Also moderate here in Spokane County. And fire danger now high in Grant, Yakima, and the Kennewick areas. Still ahead tonight, cities all across the nation are celebrating Juneteenth, the day, of course, that commemorates the end of slavery in America. Here locally, the Inland Northwest Juneteenth Coalition has been spreading the message, so we're going to hear from them coming up next.